The best stock I reserve for my Discord members. Post that at 9:30 a.m. However, there's a lot of other stocks that don't make the cut, and that's what we're talking about here. Some of them are big stocks, not Nvidia, but that kind of size. Some of them are small stocks, not Open Door, but that kind of size. If you have a comment, a question, drop it in the chat that shows up live, and we can talk about it. Gold and silver are also looking like they might break out. If you take a look at your charts, you can see there was a little bit of a pullback, but it looks like, don't hold your breath, but in the next week or two, there could be a breakout on both gold and silver. They don't always move together. In fact, they're often offset. So gold will move and then silver will move. With that said, I do think right now they both have reached all-time highs, pulled back, and are ready to continue on that move. Is that related to risk off? Is that related to big tech pulling back over the last couple of months? Yes and no. I think there's a lot of focus on the Fed share in May, liquidity coming into the market. With that said, it's only January. So it's not an environment where people are super excited to take a lot of risk. Maybe money's flooding the market. Maybe it's not in the next 2, 3, 4 months leading up to May. Maybe that Fed cut will be Fed chair change, which is thought to be associated with a Fed cut, more Fed cuts than currently, predicted. There's the prediction on the Fed funds website, the government website, and there's also the prediction that the market as a whole has, which comes out in sentiment to some degree as well. So right now, people are buying stocks. Stocks are going up. You can see some of the real estate, Compass Real Estate, for example, some of the aviation, FTAI, for example, stocks are going up. The memory stocks are going up. There are sectors that are going up. What you have to do is say, where am I going to get positioned that hasn't gone up yet and that I feel safe getting into? And what a lot of people are saying right now, or showing with their buys or lack of buys in the market, is Nvidia, Tesla, these big companies are not where people are feeling safe. So we'll see what happens. But right now it does seem like mid-cap companies or some sectors of large caps are the place to be. And that's what we talk about on this channel, large caps. Oil stocks, did they go up? Yes. Do you want to get positioned in them? Probably not, right? A good example of how volatile they were they sold off after the Venezuela incursion. So is that a place you want to be positioned? Even if they've rebounded now? Probably not. There's going to be a spike in oil when more oil is captured due to supply and demand. There's more supply. That almost makes sense. I mean, the price of oil went down. The price of crude oil went down when that happened. oil stocks themselves went up. So that tends to happen. Oil stocks tend to spike when there are wars. If someone can explain to me in a super simple way why that happens, I'm all ears. But this was a little different than Iran, or when there's attacks around Israel, oil stocks can spike. It's particularly smaller oil stocks, though. So there is a differentiation between $100 million, $500 million oil stock that spikes when there's an attack or some type of conflict around the world, and then ExxonMobil, ConocoPhillips spiking, which are the massive oil stocks that represent a large amount of the supply. So right now, it doesn't really matter that I can't explain it simply to you why what I just described happens. Oil stocks can spike, but crude oil can go down. What does matter is that oil is not worth buying either way, because if you buy crude oil futures, well, you're buying a falling knife. And we don't know exactly how long the Venezuela conflict is going to continue. It's not sounding like there's much new going on there. No Americans were killed. Some Venezuelans were killed. I don't think in the next few days to week either of those numbers are going to change in terms of casualty numbers. So in terms of effect on the markets, I think the effect is minimal. So we don't have to look at oil. So where do you look? I think the place to look is mining metals. Gold and silver don't look like they're ready to break out just yet. I really like to separate them because they are so different. Gold doesn't look like it's ready to break out just yet. Silver doesn't look like it's going to break out just yet. Gold more than silver, to me, at this time, looks better, looks more likely to break out. Silver junior miners, SILJ, even less likely, I think, to go up in price. So that's the sector to look at, metals, but I don't think it's ready. So where do you look? Biotech is another space. The ETFs, PPH and XLV, that's pharmaceuticals and healthcare respectively, did have some demand, some moves to the upside recently. ELV is one stock that's done particularly well. I don't think those are quite ready to be investable. I don't think that's a sector you want to buy. INSM, another stock that recently went up after a big dip. I don't think that is where you want to be. PRAX, also a stock that's done well recently. Not sure that's where you want to be. Some of the bigger pharma companies, Eli Lilly, Merck, Regeneron, they are positioned a little more favorably. Some of them have had breakouts recently. I do think they could come back, provide a retest and a secondary breakout opportunity. To beat a dead horse, what you're looking for, what I'm looking for here is a really favorable risk-reward opportunity. Can you get into one of these stocks? You know, very recently, Guardian Health just had a run where you risk a couple dollars and you make 10 within a day or two. And that's just the initial move. You can sell a piece into that and then let the rest trail. And these are the type of trades, the type of investments that can really pay you week after week, month after month, because you're so well positioned and you've even taken profits, you've taken some off the table. Dollar Tree and Dollar General, also stocks that have recently broken out, have come back slightly for a retest and are looking interesting again. They are relatively extended since earnings. That's Q3 earnings. We haven't gotten Q4 earnings yet. We will in a couple weeks. There have been stocks like that have run FIVE, FIVE, AEO, ANF. These are the retail stocks that look interesting. Burlington Coat Factory, Gap, Victoria's Secret. You need to let these cool off, I think. I think they're pretty extended right now. And look towards CDEs of the world, the mining stocks that are slowly moving up, curling up. The Chimes of the world, CHYM, the EATs of the world, EAT. These are stocks that are less extended. You can look at the Expedias, but at the same time you have a booking coming down. So you have to find sectors where a lot of stocks have gone up recently, and maybe there's one stock that has not yet. And for that reason, cruise lines are really interesting. You had Norwegian cruise lines going up recently. You had Carnival cruise lines going up recently. Viking has not gone up yet. I think that's an opportunity. For the semis, I think for the most part, even the second tier, the slightly smaller semis, I'm not talking about NVIDIA, AMD. I'm talking about the A-Labs, the LCRXs, the KLACs. Those stocks are cooling off. They went up significantly. I don't think that's a place to put your money right now. Tesla, I don't think is a good place to put your money. If anything, Rivian looks a little bit more favorable right now. Lyft, Uber, not that interesting. Spotify, Netflix, not that interesting. ODFL, a little bit more interesting. It's gone up significantly, but these are some moves that have made that have gone sideways, based, consolidated, and then could make another move up. Southwest Airlines is an example of that. Recently had a second move up, even as the other airlines tailed off a little. Delta, American, not as strong. Southwest LUV was a little bit of a surprise, but that is what you're looking for. That's what I'm looking for in some of these stocks that have gone up significantly, based, and then are looking for another move up. I'm not looking for an FTAI, a fundamental catalyst that moves a stock up with a ton of volume and then continues up. I'm not looking for a URI, United Rentals, which is quite low, right? It was down a lot and then had a big move off the bottom. So there are stocks that are going to get interesting. Caterpillar is up significantly, cooled off a little bit. Bloom Energy just had a big move, cooled off a little bit. GEV cooled off a lot. So there's going to be opportunities in the next week or two. I don't think they're here just yet. But these are stocks you want to have on your watch list. I mean, a Roku, this went sideways for a couple of weeks, sort of played with the longs, played with the shorts, and then after it moved down, had a breakout. So as long as you're keeping these stocks on your watch list, I think you're in a good spot. It's not always about the most fundamentally interesting stocks, the PWRs, the quanta technology that's serving NVIDIA GPUs. There's a lot of sexy technologies, quantum For example, not to be confused with Quantum was very sexy, no revenues. The stock got absolutely clobbered. Rare earths also clobbered. They could be turning up. They could be starting to turn up. They're not, in my opinion, ready for someone who's cautious. Same breath as that, the NBISs, the irons of the Bitcoin miner turned data center world are not quite ready, in my opinion. I think they could be in the next week or two. There's just been a lot of euphoria in other sectors. The space sector, Rocket Lab, SATSLUNR, on the SpaceX IPO, we'll call them rumors. The IPO might not happen, right? But it doesn't matter. Rocket Lab went on an absolute tear. This company is probably going to be worth a lot more than it is right now. It's not buyable right now because it just went up so quickly. So I think space is more of a story than a viable opportunity right now. And as of today, Friday, I think you have to leave that sector alone. So where does that leave you? You can't buy FCX, you can't buy SCCO, silver and copper. I think those, although SCCO is sort of channeling up, need to just relax a little bit on those. They're not building out sideways where there's price agreement, in preparation for a move up. CRH is maybe slightly better, sort of a construction name that's jumped up and down a bit, but looks like it could move up. ALB, the chemicals, also interesting. Uranium's had moves, CCJ, UUUU, LEU, but those need to come down a little bit before moving up again. And it's hard to say just hold what you hold because there are sectors going up, but you have to be very choosy. And if you're just joining the live, CDE I think looks interesting. That's a mining company where you can get in with low risk. NEM, if you're looking for a gold company, I'm not sure gold is ready to go just yet. Could be interesting. Google already went. I don't think you can buy some of these stocks that everyone's talking about. And I know I've sort of beat a dead horse here, but if you're looking at oil stocks, yes, SLB went up. But you really have to just leave these alone right now. So if you were someone who hasn't gotten positioned this week, it's not a huge deal. I think don't worry about it. But hope that helps. And I'll see you in the Discord.